What up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Santa Cruz Medicinals Radio. Today, we're going to help you get in your best shape for 2026. This episode is going to be kind of a rant style, and it's going to be for people who are already, in decent shape. This is not going to be, hey, get in your 10,000 steps per day, hit your protein goal, optimize sleep. We're going to get into some stuff that you can do to optimize, but it's going to be for people who already know the basics, okay? If you don't know the basics, go back to some other content. I explain the basics a lot, okay? So let's dive into some things that are actually a bit higher level, maybe a bit more complex, and these things can help you get in shape in 2026. This is the latest science, the latest stuff that's working, and some higher level stuff. So let's dive in. The first thing I want to get into that you're seeing more science come out about is circadian biology. Now, how you can sort of tap into this is you need to get a pair of those blue light blocker glasses, but they actually have to be like orange tinted. There's all these fake blue light blockers. We talked about it with Zahid Dahaj, who's an expert in circadian biology, where they're like, oh, it's just a clear pair of glasses and it's a blue light blocker. No, it turns out that doesn't work. So the blue light blockers I have, what do I have? I have a pair of Bond charges that they sent me, and then I have a pair of raw optics or something like that. I don't work with any brands. Oh, I have a pair of Sedlak ones too. He's, on TikTok and stuff like that. So like, just get ones that are actually orange tinted. And you're going to want to throw these on in the evening. After it's sunset, I might give myself, 30 minutes to an hour after sunset, maybe looking for these around my house. But then like I'm putting them on when I'm watching Netflix at night or I'm on my phone at night. The other thing to do is make your phone screen be able to do this. If you can't figure out how to do that by simply Googling, then I don't know, you're just cooked in life in general and you should turn this off. So those are going to be things that actually do make a difference. You have these receptors in your eyes called melanopsin receptors. These aren't there to help you see at all. They are only there in your retina to tell you what time of the day it is. And so when you are playing video games at night or just on your phone or your computer or watching Netflix, you are telling your body that it is daytime. Why this is so important, and I think it's one of the biggest things for 2026 that people need to start to dial in, is because you will see your immune function, your testosterone, your skin, your brain health, all of those things dramatically improve when you dial in your circadian biology. What they have found is you're just not going into the same sleep architecture. If you are getting blasted with blue light and then you go, okay, it's time for bed, let me, turn the lights off and go to sleep. You're just delaying that sleep architecture significantly. And when you put on these blue light blockers at night, you make your house or room dark as possible. When the sun sets, you should be avoiding light, honestly. And like, I'm kind of crazy about this at my house. I have a candle next to my bed that I light, and I'll if you want to get into the whole lighting thing, the lower the lux, so the lower the amount of light it puts out, and the lower, actually like physically lower the light is better. Overhead light imitates sunlight. So when you have bright overhead lights, you are telling your body that it's still daytime. Even light on the skin, your skin has photoreceptors. Like Zahid Dahaj, what he does, now I do, is when I'm watching TV at night with my wife, if I feel like, doing that, I throw on the blue blockers. I also throw on a long sleeve and sweatpants because the actual blue light from the TV will hit your skin and stimulate those photoreceptors to then give your brain more information that it's daytime. So this is super important and a very easy thing to dial in. And if we're just going to complete the nighttime routine, because I think it's one of the best things to dial in for 2026, it sets up your next day. Take your magnesium. If you have trouble sleeping, take some sleep caps. If you're an athlete and you have an evening practice or you're working out late, I would highly recommend taking some ashwagandha in the evening. Those are the three things that I love to take at night. And I also try to cut off any food at least 2 hours before bed. Sometimes I break that rule with little protein cereal at night, but I do notice my sleep scores are better when I eat earlier and sort of cut that off. So that's going to be one thing that I really want you guys to look into. The next thing we're going to look into is mitochondrial health. You're going to see more and more stuff about mitochondrial health. If you listen to Dr. Chris Masterjohn on Rogan, you would have heard how he thinks mitochondrial health is the key driver of cancer later in life, energy issues, immune system issues, all this stuff, which it makes a lot of sense because obviously the mitochondria are powerhouses of your cell. And when that function gets compromised, you can have a bunch of health issues. What I've noticed recently, since I've really started to dial in my mitochondrial health through lab testing and then adding in certain protocols like that sleep one we just talked about, but also some certain supplements. Beef heart, for example, contains a lot of CoQ10. CoQ10 is key for mitochondrial health. And what I've noticed since sort of adding in more CoQ10, upping my dose of acetyl L-carnitine, which is involved in that mitochondrial transport chain, I've noticed just a more robust, deep energy. So there's different supplements that can sort of help with this. Creatine is going to be one of the best things for mitochondrial health. And I've upped my dose of creatine from 5 grams a day to 10 grams or more per day. I feel way better when I'm taking those higher dosages. You can experiment around with that, but for me, when I'm doing 10 grams per day, I feel more energy. And there are studies to support that it helps with sleep deprivation. If that's something that, you're exposed to. We recently got a new puppy, he was waking me up a little bit. I upped my dose of creatine. I felt pretty good. So that's going to be a big thing. And there's also this whole class of mitochondrial peptides that are coming out that I will dive more into with Dr. Abood Bakri in a future episode. But stuff like MOTS-C, stuff like OS01, stuff like SLU-PP332. These peptide names are long, man. It's crazy. But they're finding some very interesting stuff there, but just going towards those is going to be risky without knowing what you're doing, because they also see like anecdotal reports in some of these peptide usages of, people aren't able to fall asleep. They're not going into as deep stages of sleep. So while it might be giving people more energy and more cardio, it might be negatively affecting their sleep. So it could be something that people want to use like short term for like a sports, like if you're like going to engage in some type of sports tournament or some endurance race, like, okay. But for right now, I think the natural way is really what you want to go towards. So looking into some CoQ10, or even if you want to go the real primal way, looking into, adding some more beef heart into your routine, either desiccated or fresh. Stuff like acetyl L-carnitine is, very basic. You can look into stuff like D-ribose, which is a naturally occurring sugar, but it's not going to give your body a lot of actual sugar. You're talking 2 or 3 grams, and that can help your mitochondrial function. So that's going to be really crucial to look into. The next thing that can help with mitochondrial function, and it sort of ties in the other 2 things that I talked about, is red light. I would say the science is just like there on red light. We have like 15 years now of really good studies on red light. And while most of these studies are, in terms of the high quality studies and the definitive findings, are around eye health, that it improves your eye health, I think it's pretty clear that it's stimulating your mitochondrial health in a beneficial way. And when we talk about some of the circadian biology stuff and how much light affects who we are and our health as Homo sapiens, red light is very important. So I have, the Huga red light devices, guys, aren't that expensive. So I know a lot of people hear about red light and they see these fancy red light beds and it's like $3,000. The Huga lights, let's look it up exactly how much they are, because they sent me one of them and then I just bought the other one to create like the sort of like panels next to each other. But let's look into how much they are. Boom. So they have their HG series, which is clinically proven 650 nanometers and 850 nanometers. And you can get one of these things for $189 for like the face, neck, and shoulders ones. There's some, evidence of skin health, hair health benefits. And if you want to go bigger, let's see how big HG 500 one is, $359. I do have a code with them, Santa Space Cruise. For some reason they couldn't do it in one thing. But yeah, I don't even promote it that much, but like get any good red light. I think those ones are really good. I would be doing red light, guys, especially during this like foggy, cloudy weather that we at least have here. I know a lot of you, it's cold. Get in front of a red light if you can. I mean, just I started it for the vain, reason of, this is going to benefit my skin health, which I definitely think it has. But then when you look into some of the eye health benefits and then some of the mitochondrial benefits, it seems it's giving our body a signal, which is, getting red light into our retina, and that sort of has a deeper biological effect on us. So I'm a big fan of red light, and if it's something you can get in front of, go for it. The next thing I'll tell you guys that I've greatly benefited from is sort of this science-based weightlifting. And then I'm also going to tie in some of the stuff I've been doing on a high level for injury prevention, ligament strength, tendon strength. And I really feel like you guys should do this. So the optimal lifting science generally shows us, and there's constant debates with this science-based community, but if you want to simplify it, it is you go hard for 2 sets, maybe 3 sets, and you rest plenty in between those sets. How I like to do it, what feels good for me, is I go to the gym, I do actually some functional movements to warm up, which, the functional movement community and the optimal lifting community are at like war with each other. And I sort of agree more with the actual optimal lifting community in that kettlebells and bands and, these weird functional mace bells and stuff are not good for muscle growth and hypertrophy. They're not optimal for that. But I do like doing them in my warm up. So you might see me in the gym with a kettlebell, doing some kettlebell armbar movements joints, opening up the pecs, stabilizing some of the scapula, maybe some Turkish get-ups. It makes me feel good, and my shoulders feel strong, but I'm not trying to pack on muscle. I'm trying to warm up there. And then when I go to actually lift, I'm looking towards those stable exercises that I can load heavy. So whatever that is, let's just take a chest press, for example. I find a machine that has good converging, and I do a warm-up set just to feel it out, but I'm not taxing my body. And then I load up weights to where I can only do that weight 5 to 15 times. I'm not so worried about the reps. I'm worried about going towards failure. And I do 2 sets with plenty of rest in between. And then I'm trying to hit like 6 to 8 sets per muscle in an ideal week. Yeah, I mean, that's the way you want to lift. Lifting looks different for me now than it used to. Like, I go in the gym. I'm not in there for that long. I am going intense in those sets. I'm chilling in between those. And then I get my cardio in through other ways, be it jujitsu, surfing, getting on the assault bike, doing some sprints, whatever it may be. Now, for tendon and ligament health, what I urge you guys to look into in 2026 is called functional range conditioning, FRC. They also have, basically, because FRC is actually pretty complicated, they have a more consumer-friendly version of it, I would call Kin Stretch, K-I-N Stretch. So you can look these up on YouTube and just start there. But if you want like actual detailed info, The Supple Athlete on Instagram has some of the best videos I've ever seen on FRC and Kin Stretch and how to actually apply this. Here's the concept behind FRC. If you take your shoulder, you have internal rotation of the shoulder here and external rotation of the shoulder here. If you cannot actively, without pressing, your shoulder or whatever, jamming it into place, if you cannot actively control and have deep range in that internal range of motion, what is going to happen to you when maybe you're a boxer and you're throwing a punch, maybe you're a surfer and you're paddling like this? What's going to happen when you don't have that range? If you're stuck here, you can try this at home. Like, I used to be stuck here when I had a shoulder injury. So what happens when I'm in jiu-jitsu, I'm in surfing? Other muscles are going to come in and start to do that job for the internal rotators of my shoulder, and that's going to cause issues. So FRC is all about actually strengthening your ligaments and tendons and getting active, usable range of motion. This is why like the traditional yoga and stuff, and I still do some yoga-ish stretches, they're great, don't get me wrong. Just stretching, like when I say I'm stretching, I'm not just like stretching. I'm doing like FRC, I'm doing actual mobility that's going to strengthen me. They have a system called Pails and Rails. A lot of this stuff is, based on eccentrics and isometrics and stuff like that. But you can start to look into the Supple Athletes page. There's another guy, Alex Nichols, where the O is a 0, Alex Nichols on IG, and they talk about this stuff. So there's various things that you can borrow from this, but like if you have an injury, guys, I can't recommend enough looking into this, because like Alex Nichols is like, I just visited him and he's like, oh, I was with the Yankees and he's with the SF Giants. Like, he's always with these pro sports teams because they know, it's a free market economy in the world of physical fitness and injury prevention, and pro sports teams pay this guy a lot of money right now because they realize that it works. How to start using this? Let's say you don't even have an injury. You should be strengthening your ligaments and tendons and doing some direct training there of those versus just training the muscle belly over and over again, which is cool. It's going to get you aesthetics. You're going to look good. But over time, if you're not strengthening or working on your actual tendons and ligaments, you can develop some issues. So for example, like one exercise I'm doing a lot of right now for my left shoulder, actually, because I had an injury wrestling, around with it, is I need to get more external range of motion. So I'll put myself with a band into external range, and then I will drive into that band. That's the Pails. And then I'll drive into it like 10, 20 seconds. And then I will try to basically pull back and release the band and like create slack in the band. It's really difficult to do. So that's another thing I would definitely look into. The other injury prevention page that I love is Low Back Ability. And he talks about how basically a lot of people just lack strength in their low back. So if you've ever had a low back issue, I think that dude is one of the best. He talks a lot about using that back extension machine and being able to load there, being able to do like as many push-ups as you can do. You should be able to do low back extensions with proper form and squeezing the glutes. That's amazing stuff. That's helped me a lot. But yeah, this next thing I'm going to get into is really key for locking in 2026. A lot of people throw around this term gut health, but I think it's sort of dumb to throw around. There's been a lot of companies just capitalizing on selling people, whether it be probiotics, which is like the most common. Oh, gut health, just get a probiotic supplement. It really is not that simple. And I'm going to tell you right now some things you can do to dial in your gut health. We're going to start high level if you have some money to spend on your health, or maybe down the line you buy this in the future. It's the GI map gut test with a functional medicine doctor. That is one of the best things you can do for your health ever. It's weird. You have to mail in your poop. So how this works is you find a functional medicine doctor. I work with Dr. Justin and Dr. Evan are two people that I've done this with, but there are a lot of functional medicine doctors who do GI map tests. How this works is you meet with them on Zoom. You say you want a GI map test. They mail the test to your house. You do actually have to poop into a tube and then mail it back to the lab. The lab then lets the functional medicine doctor know the results. They can send you the results, and you go over the results page by page with the functional medicine doctor, and you find out everything that's going on in your gut microbiome. Do you have H. pylori? Do you have a parasite? Do you have a bad bacteria that's overgrown? Are you just low in beneficial bacteria? What species of beneficial bacteria are you low in? I was low in a bacteria called Akkermansia, so I started supplementing with Akkermansia, a specific probiotic strain. That benefited me tons. These are it's really the future of medicine right there because your gut affects so much. But if you don't have money for that, I'm gonna tell you some things right now that you can do. So if you have like reoccurring acne, gas, you get bloated a lot, my guess, and this is just I'm just gonna tell you what I would do. How about that? We'll label it as that. Here's what I would do if I were in these situations. So if I had some recurring acne, if I had some bloatedness, some gas, I didn't feel like my gut health was super optimal, what I would think is that I probably have some type of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, also called SIBO. You can look up SIBO, see if you have some of those symptoms. Or I have some type of fungal issue going on, and I would actually hit it with what the functional medicine docs call killers. So oregano oil, some wormwood. You can look at a formula that Dr. Justin sells called GI Clear 4. I would do a round of that. What a round of that means is you start out just taking a little bit, and then day after day you up it a bit, 3 or 4 capsules of GI Clear 4. You could also just copy the ingredients in that, that's like what I used to do, and start to take some of those. Now, with these killers, you will have this die-off because let's say you have a overgrowth of a species called Candida, which actually causes your body to crave more sugar, really alters your whole physiology. And you start to kill that by limiting your processed sugar. Hopefully, we're already at a higher level of health right here in this conversation. And then you start to add in these killer herbs, paw d'arco, black walnut, oregano, even garlic, stuff like that. You might have this die-off effect as this bacteria that wants to survive dies off. It will literally cause people to have sugar cravings. Like, it's pretty crazy how it works. And then it starts to get a bit easier after a few weeks and you have that die off. You keep taking the, killer. And then once you do that, then you start to add in some beneficial stuff. So you start to add in a bit more fiber into your diet. I like fermented vegetables a lot. I like basic, stuff like zucchini is a good one for me. Squash is a good one for me. Sweet potatoes my body does well with. Berries, adding some of that fiber and then adding some basic probiotic foods like some grass-fed kefir. You can add in some Greek yogurt. You can do some fermented sauerkraut, like I was saying. For a lot of people, that's going to help. You can also look into maybe you have some leaky gut issues going on. So that would be herbs like marshmallow root, licorice, L-glutamine. Again, the best way to do this is with a functional medicine doctor, but for a lot of people, they're just not going to have those resources out there and be able to spend that $700, $800 it might be to do a GI map. Stuff like mastic gum can be a good supplement as well if you have H. pylori. The best way to do this, figure out what you have going on. But with a lot of folks, they can look up some common things. SIBO, S-I-B-O, leaky gut, H. pylori. You can sort of look into those. Do you have some of those symptoms presenting? And then you can sort of do a round of those killers like we just talked about, and then sort of support your gut bacteria. That is life-changing for people. And the unfortunate thing is what happens with something like H. pylori when it goes untreated is it can lead to esophageal issues. It can then lead to ulcers, and then it can lead to stomach cancer. And it pisses me off that day after day in hospitals across the United States, we have people going, oh my God, I have stomach pain. Then go, you have stomach cancer. When what could have happened is they could have given them an H. pylori test when they were younger, and they could have gone, oh, you have some H. pylori overgrowth. Here's a round of mastic gum. And those people might not get stomach cancer. Okay? So that's just insane that that's what's going on in the world right now, but that's how it is. And the last thing for 2026 that I'm really going to challenge you to do is to learn something new, pick up a new sport, new activity, or maybe if you've only delved a little bit into one of those sports, to really go in on it. And this is simply because like our brains, the way that our reward system works is we actually like to learn new things. It provides multiple assets in life. One, you have just like the sociological effect of you're doing something new, you're meeting, new people, you're interacting face to face with a community of people in most of these activities that I'm going to go into. And then we also have the actual like neurotransmitter effects of your brain wants to learn something new, and we get very bored as human beings. I think we underestimate how bored we make our brains with doing the same routine over and over again, and it actually can lead to some dopamine desensitization. It can lead to, I don't know, just like a lack of like adrenaline and norepinephrine maybe, and just kind of make people have this like, not a zest for life. They're not stoked, right? So I would really recommend these activities. We got mountain biking is a really fun one that you can do. A lot of people like to mountain bike. We have jujitsu, love jujitsu. You could go the striking martial arts, although here's my one warning with the striking martial arts. To get very good at those, you have to spar people hard, okay? Now, you can move around with some friends. You can find a gym that doesn't do that, but you won't get like expert level in those unless you spar hard. That's the reality, okay? You can get expert level in jiu-jitsu without any significant head trauma. If you live near the ocean, I definitely recommend learning how to surf. I find it very fun. It's extremely difficult to learn and do. We got soccer, rock climbing. Like, find an activity that you have maybe delved into a little bit and you like, or you're just interested in, and go do it. Go learn these things. You're going to give your body something that's, good for your body, obviously, but the more important thing here is your brain and just acquiring new skills. So if you're scared to do something like that, that's also a sign internally that you should go do it. A lot of times you have to look at something that makes you uncomfortable and be like, no, like I'm going to go towards that. Now, there's certain things that you might not want to do. You just genuinely don't like. Like, I get it. Some people just don't want to surf. Some people don't like jiu-jitsu. I get it. But there has to be something out there in 2026 that you haven't done that you want to go learn and do. So let me know what that's going to be below. For me, I want to get more into spearfishing, and I want to get more into snowboarding because I don't snowboard a lot. I've been a few times, but I want to get a little bit better at it this year. So, and spearfishing is something I've only done 3 times, but I want to go more. So those are going to be the activities that I lock in on. Of course, I'll be, jiu-jitsu is like a never-ending game. I'm going to try to get better at it. I'm going to try to go more. But those 2 new activities for me are something I'm really stoked about. And it just gives your brain something to look forward to. Then what do you spend time on your phone doing? Now I'm looking at spearfishing and snowboarding videos. So then my algorithm starts to populate with that instead of just bullshit random stuff that why would I care about? It changes your whole life when you have these activities that you do. So if you don't have any of those, you really, really, really need to lock in on those. Your activity shouldn't be that you scroll on, short form media or that you play video games. Those are fun things to do. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm living like a pretty normal life. I was talking to you guys. I watch Netflix with my wife. I scroll on my phone. I play NHL video game with my friends. But if that's the main thing, you're going to lead yourself to a place of being depressed and anxious, and it'll creep up on you quick. So those are some higher level things for 2026. It's time to lock in. Like, this is the time. Everybody in January says they're going to take advantage and like dial in on their health and actually lock in. And then people just fall off. You see it every single year at the gym. The gym is packed in a week or 2, bro. And think of what all these people are thinking genuinely in their head. They're going, this is my year. I'm going to do it. I'm going to stop eating crumble cookie. I'm going to be in the gym. And then they fall off. Do not be one of those people that falls off. People ask me all the time for these discipline hacks and motivation hacks. Like, you just have to reach down in your soul at some point and find discipline. Like, you need to look into the history of where you come from as a Homo sapien, as a human being on this earth, and realize people have done such challenging stuff, faced such adversity, and we have it easy in today's society. And discipline does equal freedom. Discipline gives you joy. So you need to tap into it as if it's something that will bring you happiness, not that you're torturing yourself to be healthy and go to the gym. No, like, it creates a better life for you. So 2026, who's gonna lock in? Let me know below, and I hope this video helped you. And anything else you want me to cover, let me know. Any questions you have, let me know below. As always, guys, like and subscribe and comment, because that helps me so much. I truly appreciate you guys tons, from the bottom of my heart. Love y'all. And if you want to try any of our supplements, you go on Amazon, you type in Santa Cruz Paleo. If you have gotten any of our things, go leave a nice review because that does help us grow. And we have a lot of cool stuff coming out. We have protein bars coming out towards February, and they're going to be the best protein bar ever. As we've grown this company, we really just we're able to do better things for you guys. And you'll see that with the protein bar. It's going to be the best real food protein bar at the best price. And the truth is, we're not going to make much money on it at all, but we don't care at this point. We've built up a base with, years and years of, building good products. And now we're able to really kind of pass it on to the consumer and launch a product like the protein bar that's it's more of a brand builder. People are like, this is the best thing ever. It's priced better than any other real food protein bar. It tastes better. They're just going to go with it. They're going to tell their friends about it. We don't run ads, so word of mouth really does help us. So leave some reviews, get some products, lock in on your health. I love you guys. Let me know any questions you have below, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.